looking so fresh. When I walk by, breaking their necks. Waiting in line at the team store. Now I'm feeling fly like a condor. Eyes on me when I walk through the door. Man, I wish I bought a couple more. Cause I really love my city. It was worth every penny. If it were at my show, then I know they gon' tip me. Think I might add a couple patches. If you think it's ugly, you capping. Now my whole outfit matching. Never going out of fashion.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Talking Friars. I am Ben Fadden. Let's talk some Padres here as they drop 2 out of 3 against the Detroit Tigers. They have their first losing road trip, unless I'm just totally forgetting. Their first losing road trip of the season. They had 500 road trip against Sacramento and Chicago, the Cubs. But this one, they dropped 2 out of 3 in Houston, 2 out of 3 in Detroit. And now they're going to come back home. They have an off day tomorrow in San Diego, so that should be nice for them. And then got King and Cease pitching in 2 of the 3 games, I think, coming up this weekend against the Tampa Bay Rays, and then a day off, and then just 2 games only, not 3, 2 games against the Giants, and then another day off. So, with the injuries that are happening to this team, the good thing is that there's 3 days off here in an 8-day period, tomorrow, Monday, Thursday. And that can also allow the Padres to skip someone like Kyle Hart if they want to in the rotation. But let's be clear, today was not about Kyle Hart. Today was about the offense not doing enough and tipping the cap to someone like Reese Olson, who pitched really well for the Detroit Tigers today to lock down that series win. I already gave some of my thoughts on this game in my post game, which was in game and then a little bit after the game. It was 6-0, and I had to leave for work, so I just did it as quick as I possibly could, essentially, while trying to, have everything that was in my head, get that out. So I can still go over today's game. And if really like this show today, I want it to be more like a Q&A thing. I'm going to really look at the chat, go through that. If you want to join the show, I believe the link, it should be up there. Yeah, click that link that's at the top of the chat. And yeah, let's talk some Padres baseball. I think, overall, this road trip, losing Luis Ariz, and, so I didn't think it was the end of the world that they lost 2 out of 3 to the Astros. And it's not the end of the world that they lost 2 out of 3 to the Detroit Tigers. If you keep doing this, obviously that's a problem. But I think considering the amount of injuries that this team has, to be 17-8, they're in first place in the NL West. I couldn't send out the best record in baseball tweet tonight, unfortunately. That one goes to the Mets because the Phillies couldn't hold the lead. And so we just had to settle for best team in the NL West as of now. Hopefully people realize that it's a bit and I'm just doing it for that. But there's some people on social media that don't like me for some reason and they just want to get after me. But whatever. I laugh at it, to be honest. Whatever. It's funny. But yeah, best team in the NL West record-wise right now. No Ariz, no Merrill, no Cronenworth, no Lockridge, no Hayward, Musgrove, Darvish, Hoeing, Reynolds. I believe, though, Reynolds is now in El Paso for a rehab assignment. I saw that on Mad Friars, so that's good news there. Darvish seems to be progressing. He did throw a breaking ball in his last bullpen. That's the last update that I saw. If there's another update, then please let me know because I've been working, so I didn't see if there was a latest update. I am quickly looking that up right now, and I'm not seeing that. But yeah, for the update, at least the latest updates that I've seen, Merrill, it's going to be, Kevin said on John and Jim today that Merrill could come back this homestand, but I doubt it. I'm thinking that's going to be more in May. Crony could be another few weeks. As he's dealing with the fractured rib, non-displaced. Is that how you say it? Non-displaced fractured rib. He's behind Merrill in terms of when he would return. Darvish, I think the Padres are hoping for June, late May, maybe June. Kevin did, I think in his Padres Daily today, he did have that chart. So let me pull that up, actually. Yeah, here it is. It's a great chart. So I'll just go through it instead of just, trying to go from memory here. Joe Musgrove, Tommy John surgery, hopes to pitch in October. Yu Darvish, elbow inflammation. The team is targeting late May, June as a possible return date there. And he's building up. And to be honest, a May, June return, I don't think that's the end of the world. The way this rotation is going, the majority of the rotation, every turn, you may have a stinker and one of the guys, but most of the time, majority of it, you're getting good starts and you're keeping the Padres starters are keeping you in games. And that's what all you can ask for from the back end. And then you have someone like Nick Pivetta, who yesterday deals, and he's a big reason why the Padres win that game yesterday to not get swept. So, Pivetta, King, those guys pitch like aces. Cease can do that. And then Vasquez and Hart, they've shown that they can keep you in games and really a majority of their starts so far this season. So Darvish, obviously, you want him back for the most important parts of the season. He's a vet. He knows his body, so I'm not super worried about that right now. Hoeing, return date unknown. He has not pitched in the minors. I think the latest update was that he was going to Peoria to pitch in live BP sessions. So we'll see if he comes back to Petco and throws in front of staff, front office, trainers. We'll see. Sean Reynolds, he has reported to AAA. That's the right foot stress reaction. Hoeing is the shoulder strain, by the way. Johnny Brito, I haven't really mentioned him, but that's just because he's really just out of sight, out of mind, to be honest. Right forearm strain. He's on the 60-day IL, yet to throw. Matt Waldron, oblique strain. I think that's someone that Padres fans have kind of forgot about. He's on the 60-day, unknown timetable. So that's kind of why we forgot about him. Like, there's no consistent updates on when he may return or not. Jackson Merrill, hamstring strain, target late April, early May. So either this homestand or hopefully in Pittsburgh, the start of the next road trip. But obviously, he's super important to this team, one of the most important players on this team. So even if he has to miss some of next road trip, then do it. We have Tatis, who's performing like an MVP to start this season. You have some talent in this order, strong pitching. Find a way to, play 500 while these guys are away. And if they do that, then they're still going to be in a good spot because they'll be 9 games over 500 if they play 500, Jackson, so there's Jackson's update with the hamstring. Jake Cronenworth, rib fracture, target mid-May. And it's April 23rd right now. So what is mid-May? Like literally mid-May, like the 15th? That would be 3 weeks away. 3 weeks away. If it's before then maybe it's 2.5-ish, 2 to 3 weeks, something like that. But that's Crony. He can come back before it's fully repaired or however you want to say it. It's more of how much can he deal with this? And it only gets worse. It seems like that's what he said. If he gets hit there, which he could, but you can't control that, So really, he'll come back, I guess, when he can deal with it playing in baseball action, on a nightly basis. Because you don't want to have him come back and play a couple times a week. You want him to be there pretty much every day when he comes back. Brandon Lockridge, hamstring strain, target late April, early May. So same thing as Merrill. But I haven't heard. Merrill's obviously the bigger player, and so understandably, there's going to be more updates on him. I haven't heard updates on Brandon Lockridge really, other than just this from Kevin Acee and this chart that he made, which really helps out. Thank you, Kevin. Jason Hayward, knee inflammation. It was knee soreness, then it was knee inflammation, put on the IL, and I believe it was Tirso that came up for him. Unknown when he would return. Luis Arias, concussion. Kevin says he is expected back after that week. So 7 days. He was put on 7 days at the start of that Detroit series. So if it's 7 days, then he would be eligible to return, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Start of the Giants series on Tuesday, I think. That would be great because, today, for example, in the series finale, a lot of quick at-bats, ground balls. Arias hits ground balls too, but someone that can spray hits around, that would be great to have in this lineup. And no disrespect to Gavin Sheets, but I don't want him hitting second. You know, I'd like to have Luis there. Jackson Merrill, someone as well that puts together good at bats. And like this is the first time really all year I can remember that it seemed like the Padres like really quick at bats. But at the same time, like I said in my post game reaction today, if it's a good pitch, I don't want them just looking at it just to, oh, let's work the count. If that's the best pitch you're going to get in the at bat and it's pretty obvious, then yeah, I want you to swing at it. Sometimes you're going to roll over, sometimes you're going to pop up. That's baseball. And we saw a little bit of that in this series finale. But yeah, those are the updates. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11 players on the IL, at least on this chart that Kevin has. Some don't know when they're going to return, like Brian Hoeing, like Jason Hayward. Some could return pretty darn soon, hopefully like Luis Ariz. And it seems like Ariz was put on the concussion IL, that 7-day list, to be precautionary. And I'm totally good with that. Like, obviously, his health is more important than him being on the field for a Detroit Tigers and Tampa Bay Rays series in April. And October, to be quite honest, right? It's his health. You know, concussions are serious. So those are the updates injury-wise. But yeah, for this Padres team, I know that a lot of these games were played with some of these key players, but still, some of them weren't. And to be 17-8, sure, losing road trip, but it's not the end of the world. They weren't playing the Marlins and the Pirates or the Rockies on this road trip. Two teams that could contend for the playoffs. I think the Tigers, they're in first place, by the way, in the AL Central right now. They could go win that division and be one of the better teams in the American League. Now, you could look at it and be like, well, they lost the series and they didn't even have to face Schoolboy. They didn't have to face Mize. And that's fair, but they did face like Schoolboy essentially today with the way Reese Olson was pitching. And we had Kyle Hart and Randy Vasquez in 2 of the 3 games. And the one game that we definitely should have won with Pivetta on the mound, they won. So the sky is not falling for me. Maybe it's falling for you. You can let me know your thoughts in the comments here. Again, if you want to join the show, you can click that link pinned up at the top of the chat. If it's not pinned, then just scroll up to the top. Irie says, we got lucky last year with not too many injuries offensively. Dang, the whole half of our starting lineup is injured. Yeah. I mean, the lineup today, this is their A lineup, I think. You could have Diaz in there from Maldonado, but I'm not even looking at the catcher really because that's based on who's pitching. But based on guys that are available, this is the best lineup. Tatis, Sheets, Machado, Bogarts, Ornelas, Gonzalez, Iglesias, Wade, and then Diaz or Maldonado. That's what it is. You know, you look at this lineup and it's Tatis, it's Sheets, it's Machado, it's Bogarts, and then we'll see. That's the majority of the lineup, 5 out of the 9 that it's we'll see. Ornelas smacked the ball today. Now, it was, Javi Baez went and caught it, but he's making his debut here. Like, he's just starting in the big league. Oscar was on a minor league deal. Jose Iglesias, he's going to give you more defensively than he is offensively. Good at bats. Vet does really well against left-handed pitching. I'm okay. That's a fine replacement. But I'm expecting him to be the producer, driving in runs. He's almost hitting 300 in his at-bats this year, but he is hitting 7th in the order. Tyler Wade reminds me of myself, to be honest. I this because I know I wasn't going to the big leagues or anything. Reminds me of myself in high school where I just didn't have power. Like, I could make contact. I could hit the ball. I got speed, play defense. I played center field, played shortstop. But, I square it up, and it's not like it's going over the fence. Tyler Wade, he squared up a couple of balls, and they were flyouts to the outfield. That's just how it is. And so I feel his pain. Totally trying to relate myself to a big leaguer. You can laugh at me, whatever. But, yeah, that's what we got. That's our starting center fielder right now. And no disrespect to Tyler Wade. Like, he's super valuable still. I know people may not be the biggest fans of him, but I like him as a bench guy. But he has to be in the lineup because of the injuries. You got the starting center fielder out, the backup center fielder out. You got the starting left fielder out. You know what? They're going to bring up Forrest Wall. They're going to bring up Bryce Johnson. No, they'll just go with Tyler Wade. They'd rather go with Tyler Wade. Trent, hello, Ben. Thanks for the updates. No, thank you guys for tuning in. Much appreciated. Mike says that hot start is a decent cushion while waiting for guys to come back. Yes, for sure. That was big. No Mama says bring back Jack. Who's Jack? Bring back Jack? Am I just blanking on who Jack is? Iris says, yeah, even flows of a season, I just want to hold my breath on Fernando. He can have a really special year if he can stay healthy. Oh, for sure. Yeah, like that's always been the question about him. A 1,030 OPS right now, 333 average. He's already got 8 homers on the season. He's driven in 17. He's stolen 7 bases. I did not like his attempt at third base, his steal of third base today. Why are you trying to take third base when there's 2 outs and you got Xander up and you're already in scoring position? You're not slow. A single will score you. You know, go get that lead for Kyle Hart. Instead, you get thrown out. Xander doesn't even, he gets the bat taken out of his hands. And I know it was 6-0. Like, I'm not going to talk about this for too long, but we bring Tatis, and that just pops into my head today. That was frustrating to watch there at the beginning. But yes, for sure, Ivy. Yes, it will be it could be a MVP type season if people aren't biased. If he can stay healthy. Everett says, hey, it's part of the game. You will have bad games. I'm a Dodgers fan. We lost 2 one-run games in October. It will be Dodgers and Padres. Totally could end up being Dodgers and Padres again. I would not be surprised that if one of them gets the 1 seed and then, you play it like that. So they match up in the division series again. That's a long ways down the road, though. Like, they haven't played each other yet in the regular season even. That doesn't start until, I think, June. I can't even, tell you how a potential DS matchup would go. It's April 23rd, Lots of guys hurt for the Padres, and there's been guys that have been hurt for the Dodgers. Blake Snell, I believe, his stay on the IL has been extended. Shoulder, I think he's dealing with there. So, not a surprise that another Dodger pitcher is hurt. But, yeah, I think Freddie Freeman was hurt at one point. Show hasn't started pitching yet, I don't believe. I'm not paying super close attention to them, but I see it because I am a baseball fan. Let's see. Iron Swan says Sheetsy. Gavin Sheets is a good platoon DH, but should not defend out there. Yeah, but I mean, right now you don't have Luis Ariz out there. Are you going to put Connor Joe at first? Who are you putting at first base? It's going to be Sheets, I would think, right now. So that's what it is. Irie says you should bring up Camposano for his bat. Yeah, but he's done this before at AAA, where he's raked, and then what happens at the big league level? El Paso and the big leagues are 2 different things, as we have clearly seen. And the Padres, they would have already brought him up, I would think, if they wanted to do that. They don't trust Luis Camposano, or else he would have been on the opening day roster as a catcher. And do they want to bring him up just for his bat? Because then how are you developing him behind the plate? He's not getting reps behind the plate in game action, Will sweep Pirates, guaranteed. You talk about the Padres? I don't know. Are they going to line up against Skeens? That would be a good test, but I'd like that test to be with someone like Jackson Merrill and Luis Ariz in the lineup. That would be better. Irie says DH Campy / Sheets overwork Yuli at first, and if his numbers don't improve, DFA him. Okay. So you want to play Yuli so that we can say, hey, here's the sample size. It's a bigger sample size. The Padres can't hide behind, not enough sample yet, and then you DFA him. I don't want Yuli in the lineup every day. I don't. Maybe bring Campy up to DH, but to me, I feel like the Padres still want to have him have reps behind the plate. And I don't want him catching in the big leagues right now because I'm going to trust the Padres, and they clearly don't trust him more than Maldonado and Diaz behind the plate, and I don't blame them. Iron Swan says Ben was hitting nukes in high school. He's being humble. Nukes where? In the batting cages? Ari says this is Yuli's chance. If he doesn't step up, then step out, resign David Peralta or something. I'm all for that. Yeah. What is he just waiting? Because I assume he's been offered minor league deals from teams. Maybe he's just waiting till after the trade deadline, staying in shape, wait till after the deadline, and then sign with a team that's in contention or a team that he knows that he'd get playing time for. Maybe he's waiting for the Padres to give him that call. Maybe the Padres are like, you know what? Let's wait. I'd be surprised if they haven't offered him a minor league deal. Because why wouldn't you, right? It wouldn't hurt. So maybe they have and he just wants to wait. But maybe the Padres are like, all right, we offered him it. Maybe he wants to wait and then wait till Hayward comes back. What happens there? If he can't go, then maybe you go with Peralta there. Lockridge comes back. How does he do in left field? Or Oscar, Tirso, how do they do? If it doesn't work, then you can go to, maybe you could go to David Peralta. Who knows? All right, I see Connor wants to join the show. What's up, Connor? How's it going, man?
Hey, not much, Ben. So, one thing I will say though is this injury stint did kind of hurt us on the road trip. Not
Yep.
having those consistent bats, that we see with Merrill. I'm glad that Luis Arias is doing okay. He should be back soon. Um, but my biggest thing, right, is we can't just judge, the team based off this. Every team we all go through a slump, right? When it comes to the hitting and everything like that, it's just in reality, like I wasn't able to watch today's game. I was at work. But the biggest thing is we can't be like, oh, well, we gotta do this. And this will solve everything. One thing I will say, I'm not a big fan personally of the Yuli signing. He hasn't really produced or anything. I know he's just a platoon to give guys the rest day off pretty much when needed.
Yeah, I mean, he's hitting 125. Has a 378 OPS. Yeah. I mean, his highlight so far was his diving catch at first base the other night in Houston.
Exactly. And for me, I would love to see. I'm glad that at least the Padres, they're willing to take their time with Merrill and Cronenworth to come back and make sure that they're healthy and ready to go for play for a while instead of rushing to come back and having that higher risk of injury. So I'd rather see that. Yeah, we may lose a couple games in the meantime, but I'd rather see our guys come back nice and healthy and hopefully able to play for hopefully the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I think that why they're more willing to do that, especially now, is like because of the position that they put themselves in, because they are above like 9 games over 500. They're in a good spot. Now, if they were 500, it still wouldn't be smart to rush Merrill and Cronenworth back here in April. Like, that's not smart either. But there's no reason to rush. Like, at least maybe they'd have a reason to. There's no reason for them to be rushing them back on April 23rd when they're sitting in first in the NL West. That's just reality. That's the fact. So, yeah, take their time. There's other guys. Tatis, it helps that Tatis is performing. Manny's healthy. Arise will come back. Hopefully, the second series of the homestand after his 7 days are up. There's other guys that can produce in this order. And thank goodness that the bullpen's performing pretty well. I know today wasn't great, but overall, the Padres have had like the best bullpen in the league. Starting rotation, keeping the Padres in a lot of games, pretty much every game. And yeah, that's really helping, ease this, maybe not amongst all fans, but like not have every fan up in arms like, oh man, like super worried about, injuries and those guys not coming back soon enough. Like we're in a good spot still.
Exactly, and I'll give credit to Robert Suarez. Has gone into almost every game, hasn't given up a run. We got Nick Pivetta, which that signing was. I would give that an A plus by AJ Preller. With the
Oh
sample
yeah, for
size
sure.
that I've seen, it's just nasty. And he's carrying down that rotation in the meantime while we're waiting to see if Darvish comes back for the year.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Pavetta. I mean, this is someone that, like I was saying, I think I said yesterday, maybe he's a name, but he's not one of the big names. But like the Padres have done this, whether it be a Seth Lugo, Mike Waka. I kind of compare Waka and Lugo, or not Waka and Lugo, Waka and Pavetta, like names that baseball fans know, but not like the most sexiest move when you go get those guys. But yeah, Pavetta's someone that can log innings. He's made a lot of starts in his big league career. Someone that wants to win. He has that like Joe Musgrove. I'm not saying Musgrove stands out among everyone, but it stands out definitely for Padres fans. The competitiveness there, Pavetta has that. And not being at Fenway Park, I mentioned that the other night, being at Petco, and even on the road, like at Comerica Park, like that was great because balls were not going to be flying out of there to center or gap in the gaps. So pitching to contact obviously helped, and then you put him with Ruben Niebla, and it's a match made in heaven, pretty much.
exactly. Well, Ben, thank you so much for letting me on.
Yeah, of course, Connor. Have a good night, man.
You as well.
All right. Yeah, thank you for coming on. All right. Before getting back to the chat, yeah, Pavetta, I mean, this guy, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. That's a fact. 1.20 ERA. You can laugh at me by saying, Ben, it's April 23rd, but these are the facts. All I can do is react to what I've seen from Nick Pavetta in a Padres uniform. And every game except one start, it's been pretty darn good. 7 innings, no runs against the Braves, 3 innings at Wrigley in the mid 40s, but then after that, 7 innings, no runs, 6 innings, 1 run, and then 7 innings, no runs the other day against Detroit. Pitching to some contact. And what I love, like the complacency is not there, the competitiveness. He's talking about essentially like trying to, maybe downplay is not the right word, but just not being too hyped up about his performance right now. We can do that. Like, I'm a fan, I'll do it. But for Pavetta, I love that he's not like, oh yeah, like this is awesome. Um, to me, his post game quotes are great to see, great to read, great to hear. It's him essentially saying like it's too early to make assumptions or to make too much of what I'm doing right now. It's a long season. I got to keep doing it. Essentially, I'm not quoting him, but that's essentially his mindset. And that's what you love to hear from a guy that's a 1.20 ERA right now and is dominating. But it's April, and he's right. Like, it is a long season. And those guys in there, they can't just look at their numbers and be like, yeah, I'm good. I'm not going to put in the work. I'll just go out there and pitch. No, it's a long season. You got to keep putting in that work, and you got to remain consistent. But as a Padres fan, yeah, I'm excited about this guy. And watching this guy pitch, the fastball, I think some hitters have said like it almost rises on him is what it seems like. It doesn't, but it seems like it with the arm angle and then over the top with the curveball or the sweeper, whatever he has there. It's nasty. It's looking pretty darn good. So that was definitely a positive in this Tiger series. Tatis continues to get on base. His on base streak, I guess, ended today, technically. But I think it's stupid. He got on base. I know it's like, well, why should the on base streak continue when it was an error? Like, he shouldn't be rewarded for it when he didn't get a hit or anything. But an on base streak to me is, did you get on base? Yes. Okay, then it counts. That's just what it is. And Tatis got on base. Was it on an error? Was the ball hit hard? Yeah. Was he running down the line? Yeah. So like that's part of it. Forcing, I think was it Baez that made the error? No, was it Glaber, I think, that made the error? I forget who it was, but early first inning, someone makes an error, and now his on base streak, which he's on base every game, he got on base today, on base every game this season. Tatis being healthy, performing like an MVP candidate. I know people are going to point to like Bogarts and Manny with not a lot of home. As Bogarts, I don't think Bogarts is homered yet this season, but like, oh, the power and all that. But if you still go look at their numbers, they still are producing. You know, do you want Manny to be better than a 799 OPS? You want Tatis is at 1030. Like you want Manny to be closer to 900 than where he's at right now. But it's going to come, I feel like still. It's Manny Machado, you know. It's April 23rd. And then Xander, I'll praise him when he deserves praise. I think he's cooled down a little bit. Now hitting 259, 700 OPS. But it is April still. So there's time for him to turn it on. Maybe it'll help when Merrill and playing better. Merrill and Arise, those guys were in the lineup with him. So maybe that'll help. Before getting back to the chat, just want to shout out the great sponsors of this show. Gaglione Bros, famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries. Their main location is on Friars Road. Check them out. They're at Petco Park. They're inside Snapdragon Stadium as well. SDFC is hosting Real Salt Lake on Saturday afternoon. Not Saturday night, but Saturday afternoon, I believe at 4:30. Gaglione Bros is inside Snapdragon. Padres back at Petco this weekend as well. So you can go to Gaglione's there. They are down the third baseline, and they are in the upper deck. 2 locations at Petco Park. Freestyle Cut and Stitch. They are a custom jersey maker brand, San Diegan brand. So if you want to support a local brand, Freestyle Cut and Stitch, link in the description. They're on Instagram, Freestyle Cut and Stitch. Code Talking Friars, 10% off any future orders. They've got the really popular basketball jerseys. I'm sure you've seen fans wear them around. Maybe some of you have them, wearing them around Petco Park. Profar and Kim wore them a lot last year and years before that. Musgrove, Merrill, Manny's worn it before. A lot of the Padres players, Tyler Wade, Nick Martinez was a big guy wearing that. Steven Wilson, I believe. So check them out. They've got a lot of cool stuff there. I think they dropped a Pavetta and Gavin Sheets one as well. And you can reach out to Sean at Freestyle Cut and Stitch on that website there if you want like a certain player, and maybe he can make it happen for you. I know he's making some things happen for me right now. So that's going to be cool. I have my Musgrove City Connect one. So check them out. Again, that's Freestyle Cut and Stitch. They are on Instagram. Code Talking Friars. And same code, $20 off your first order on SeatGeek when you sign up with your email. And if you're more of a shirt guy, maybe not a basketball jersey guy, but more of a shirt guy, there's Breaking Tea. They've got Padres and Aztecs shirts and sweatshirts. They just released a couple new Fernando Tatis Jr. shirts, a Nando Nuke shirt that they just released. I promoted that, I believe, on the YouTube posts on my channel, on social media as well. And so click the link in the description and you will be able to go find that there. I think it's a pretty cool shirt. They have the Jackson Merrill LFGSD shirt. They've got a lot of great stuff there. So check them out. All right. Any more takeaways before getting back to the chat that I have of this series? Just going through the box scores here. I'm not going to overreact to the bullpen today. Morihone and Matsui giving up 4 earned runs combined. They've been pretty darn good this year, and those aren't even like they're super high leverage guys. Nick Pavetta, great. Kyle Hart, I thought he pitched pretty well. Rough first start to the first inning, but then he buckled down. There was the Niebla mound visit, and then he ends up striking out 2 guys in a row to end that inning and only give up 1 run there. He kept the Padres in this game today. The offense just didn't score any runs. So that's that. Game 1, Randy Vasquez got that start. Only 2 innings, 6 runs. Too many pitches over the plate, part of the plate, 3 walks, just 1 punch out. Gillespie, though, not someone that's going to be talked about much, and understandable. Like, he's the long man. He comes up when it's a bad situation like that other night when Vasquez, couldn't give length for the Padres. He goes 46 pitches, and so we'll see when it gets used. Last time he was used before outing on Monday night, was in Chicago, the last road trip. So it had been a while since he had pitched. But this is what he does. He went 2 2/3, no runs, and that saved the bullpen. Only Wandy and Matsui ended up pitching after that. And then the next night, you had Adam and Suarez fresh, ready to go after Pavetta, who went 7, and they shove. And you got Adam with the .69 ERA, Suarez with the 0 ERA. Off day tomorrow, didn't pitch today. They will be well rested for that Tampa Bay series. By the way, Tampa Bay, I don't believe Ha-Seong Kim is ready yet. He's still coming back from that shoulder surgery, torn labrum that he had. Maybe he'll be there at Petco this weekend, but he won't be playing. And I should probably look up Tampa's record. 9-14 right now. So this is not the Glasnow, Snell, Tampa Bay Rays. They're playing in a minor league ballpark as well. I did see they were just playing the Yankees. No probables for the Rays right now. King on Friday for us. Cease on Saturday at 5:40. Friday at 6:40. 1:10 on Sunday. TBD on the starting pitcher there. But usually after doing Cease, it's been Randy Vasquez, right? Vasquez, Pavetta, Hart, I think. So I would expect it to be Randy on Sunday, but it's not on MLB.com right now. All right, I see Vincent wants to join the show. What's up, Vincent? How's it going, man?
Good. So I think the Padres game tonight was a little bit kind of reminding me of the Angels game I went to yesterday.
Hang on, Vincent. I can't hear you very well.
But can you hear me now?
Go one more time. Say it one more time.
Can you hear me now?
I can. I don't know how well the audience can, but I can hear you. So go ahead.
Okay, so I think the Padres game today, they lost. Kind of reminded me of the Angels game yesterday that I went to. Padres, they were favored to win the game, and obviously, everyone like newspaper and like sports were like, oh, the Padres have been doing well home and away, and they're favored to win, but then they just are. Well, and I think it's a combination of all the injuries we've been having. Obviously, with with Luis Ariz and the concussion, hope he's back to at least 95%. You have some of the other injuries, and I feel like that later down the line, when we play some of the harder teams, like for instance, LA Dodgers and stuff, I feel like we'll be much better then because we'll have most of the players. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like when we're playing better opponents like that, and let me mute you because are you on the trolley?
I'll mute myself.
Okay, there you go. Sorry, there's just the background noise. But yeah, when there are better players that are back and healthy for the Padres and they're playing better opponents, I'm not worried about this Padres team then. It's more about, okay, what can they do while those guys are out? Can they, play around 500? And then what's going to happen when those guys come back? How are they going to play? Like, we know when these guys are healthy, Merrill, Ariz, look at the start that they got off to. And then the pitching that we have, bullpen and rotation right now. We'll see when Darvish comes back. This is a good team. So I hope that people don't overreact to how the Padres play while there's a lot of injuries. I'm not saying that they have an excuse to lose every game, but don't expect them to go sweep every team and win every series when you're down this many guys. I wonder, you go around baseball, they're losing their starting left fielder, starting center fielder, backup center fielder, starting second baseman, starting first baseman, two of their ace pitchers. How would two of their relievers, how would they be doing right now? I wonder how would they be doing. So the Padres, they're 17-8, with those absences. I know some of those guys were there for a lot of this time and helped the Padres win these games, but the Padres are still in a good spot. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so one last thing is the Padres this next month have some exciting matchups coming up, especially with the hyped up what I think is the better cut with the Padres and the Mariners. But I think that the Padres, obviously I believe it's the Dodgers either next month or the following month, so they're getting ready for some tough teams. But honestly, I think that probably the Padres should be worried about is probably, I would say, the Los Angeles Angels, because they don't play the Angels that much. Like pretty much maybe now they're playing them once every year on the foil, like maybe once every 5 or 6 years. So I feel like that is a team we'll probably might have to look out to a little bit because we haven't played them that much. But I feel like next month should be good because we're also next month and the following month. I know the Padres are getting a lot of the East Coast teams. They're either going there are coming out here, so I feel like we got to be ready for them.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you for joining the show, Vincent. Much appreciated, man. What I would say to that is the Padres, regardless of the opponent, they're going to be ready for those teams. I don't care if it's an East Coast team or West Coast team. I don't care if it's the Angels. I don't care who it is. They're going to game plan and try their best to win that game. That's just how it is. That's how they operate. That's how Mike Schilt. That's just what he does. So I'm not worried about that. All right, going back to the chat here. Yuli is only on this roster because of Manny, plain and simple. That's debatable. I think Schilt and Preller have talked well about Yuli before, so I don't think that's just a Manny thing. That catch gave him another month. Maybe. I mean, these injuries probably helped too. Let's see. Irie says Connor Joe better step up or he's not going to make it back to Petco Park. Well, he will because they're not going to take him off the roster now. Hasn't had very many at-bats. Xander need home runs from him. What's up with him? I think we got to realize, like, this guy isn't known as this big home run hitter. Sure, he did hit home runs. Let me pull up his year-by-year totals. Okay. So he hit 33 home runs in 2019. Our fans, is that what we're expecting? He hit over 300, hit over 30 home runs, playing in Boston, 2019, coming off of the World Series in 2018. Like, if you're expecting him to be that guy, that was 6 years ago. I don't know what to tell you. Because after that, he hit 11. Now it's 2020, so scratch that. Who cares? Whatever. 23 home runs in 2021, 15 home runs in 2022. His last year with Boston, 2022, 15 home runs, 19 in 2023, 11 last year. And he had a lot of, he missed a good amount of time last year with injuries. So that knocked off some games. He played 155 in 23, 111 last year. So if he can stay healthy, I don't know how many home runs he's going to hit, but he's not going to hit none. And I think the contract, right, the 280, people see that number and they expect like huge things because of the contract that he signed. It's not his fault that he was offered that. We know that that's an overpay. So how about we adjust our expectations not to the 280 number, but lower them because that contract was an overpay. We know that. And he probably knows that too. He's an honest guy. He probably would say, yeah, but I'm taking it and I don't blame him. No one else was going to offer close to that. I'm not saying Xander doesn't deserve criticism, but I feel like sometimes there's too much focus on him. And it's because of the contract when he was offered it. It's not his fault. Carlos says, Ben, you are a homer. Yeah, I mean, I'm a Padres fan. Yep. Yeah. Family has season tickets. Been a Padres fan my whole life. Yep. I am a homer. Yep. That criticism doesn't hurt me. Whatever. Anything else that I should bring up here? Diego says, hey, Ben, when Darvish gets back, who do you send down, Hart or Vasquez? Also, who do you send down when Reynolds and Hoeing come back? Well, Gillespie would be the first one for Reynolds or Hoeing. And then Hart or Vasquez, right now, if I had to pick, I'd send probably Kyle Hart down. But the Padres, I mean, they could go 6-man. And then whenever they have days off, they just skip Hart or Vasquez. But if they go 6-man, then that's one less guy that you're having in the bullpen, So they probably go 5 still. I think you send Kyle Hart down. for Darvish. But that's, Darvish, he's still a ways away. This isn't, next week or even the week after that or the week after that. Like, it's going to take time. Really? Mason McCoy needs more RBI? No. No, he doesn't. Come on. You're really expecting Mason McCoy to drive in runs? He's not a big league player, but he's in the big leagues because of injuries. All right. I think that's going to do it. Talking Friars. Padres, they dropped 2 out of 3 in Detroit, losing road trip. Not the end of the world. They're still in a good spot. Really good spot. Considering the circumstances, great start to the year. It allows for this to be happening. And it's baseball. It won't happen. I hesitate to say, oh, this is a rough patch. It's 2 series. They lost a rise during the road trip. It's going to happen. First place team in the Central. At Houston, the previous series. Maybe you can get more concerned if they don't win series against Tampa and San Francisco, especially Tampa. San Francisco is pretty good. But Tampa, okay. But right now, yeah, sucks. But off day tomorrow, move on.